Hi everyone, welcome to the channel Sluggers Blue for your CAT RC preparation. We'll be continuing today with the same RC that we taken up in the first part of the session, where I explained to you the passage in detail. First part was passage explainer. Second part is where we discussed the questions. This RC was asked in the CAT exam in 2017 in the second slot, and I've titled the RC as Vikings, Traders, or Plunderers. 323 words, three questions. Now, for those of you who have not attempted the passage by yourself yet, the link to attempt the passage is available in the description of the video. Those of you who may have not watched the passage explainer, and if you want to watch it maybe before the session or after watching the session, the link to that video is also available in the description, the part one, and the link to join the Telegram channel of Sluggers Blue for CAT VRC is also available in the description of the video. Okay, so let's start. Okay, now for those of you who might be watching these sessions for the first time, I'll just take you very briefly through the structure of the sessions. See, every single session caters to one RC, okay, and a session is made up of two parts. The first part is where I explain to you the passage in detail, paragraph by paragraph, and the second part is where I take you through the questions, where we discuss the questions. Okay, you are expected to have attempted the passage and read the passage and attempted the questions by yourselves. The link to do the same is available in the description of videos of both the parts. Okay, all right, now 40 such sessions make up a course that is titled as an Anthology of RCs for your reading comprehension preparation for the CAT. All right, so I hope that's clear. Let's start. Okay, so question number one, the stem says the primary purpose of the passages. Let's look at the options. First, to explain the presence of reindeer antler combs in Denmark. Okay, now to be fair, the author has done this. The author has explained the presence of reindeer antler combs in Denmark. True, but that is not the primary purpose. That explanation the simply serves as evidence for what actually is the primary purpose of the passage, which is to counter the popular perception of Vikings as uh, people who used to pillage and plunder and raid and loot the resources of the regions that they visited, right? So he just wanted to, the primary purpose is to counter that image. For that, he has provided this explanation as evidence. This is true. Option A is true, but it is not the primary purpose. So it's a case of TBNR, okay, and will be eliminated with the capital E. Next, option B, to contradict the widely accepted beginning date for the Viking Age in Britain and propose an alternate one. Again, the author has mentioned what was the beginning date. He talks about traditionally the so-called Viking Age began with these rates in 793. Fair enough, he has mentioned that. But is he trying to contradict some widely accepted beginning date? There's no contradiction or discussion being had on what was or what was not the beginning date of the Viking Age, right? The discussion here has been that the artifacts in this paragraph, the discussion has been that the artifacts presence dates back, predates the start of the Viking Age, of the violent Viking Age, right? So there is no contradiction or controversy that related to the beginning date of the Viking Age that has been undertaken here in this paragraph or anywhere as in the passage for that matter. So you can eliminate this also with a capital E. Option C, to challenge the popular perception of Vikings as raiders by using evidence that suggests their early trade relations with Europe. Yes, that's exactly what he has done. He has provided evidence. He has provided the explanation and evidence that suggests that they had early trade relations with Europe, right? The whole artifact discussion has been brought in to substantiate the point that the author is trying to make, that the Vikings were not really raiders always. They in fact they started off as traders instead of raiders, right? So the primary purpose is actually that he's trying to challenge the popular perception of Vikings as raiders by providing evidence that supports their early trade relations with Europe. So this can be selected with a capital S. Option D, to argue that besides being violent pillagers, Vikings were also skilled craftsmen and efficient traders. Now again, a close option. Why close? Because, well, so far as the first part is concerned, to argue that besides being violent pillagers, like it seems to be not completely out of line, right? Because yes, they were, after all, they did turn into violent pillagers. So which is not exactly the same thing. Like being being having two aspects together is not the same as having two aspects 50 or 70 years apart, right? So this says besides being violent pillagers, they were also traders. That means at the same time. But that's not the main concern that we have with the option. We can even if we let that go, we don't allow that reservation here. Still, the later part is where the problem lies. It says Vikings were also skilled craftsmen and efficient traders. Again, even in this part, we don't have much of a problem with the word craftsmen or traders, because traders is definitely called for, and craftsmen is also called for because right here the author says that antler craftsmanship in the form of decorative combs was part of Viking culture. The problem that we have this option is with the adjectives here, skilled and efficient. This is something that the author has not mentioned in the passage anywhere. Okay, so and hence this can be eliminated with a capital E. So your correct answer, guys, will thus be option C. Okay. Okay. Question number 2. The evidence, most of the artifacts also date to 780s, but some are as old as 725. So right, most of the artifacts also date to 780s, but some are as old as 725. Has been used in the passage to argue that option A, the beginning date of the Viking Age should be changed from 793 to 725. No, that's not why they have been used. They have been used to argue that the artifacts, that the trading aspect of the Vikings, like the Vikings were at least 70 years before they became plunderers and raiders and pillagers and became violent. At least 70 years before that, they had been traders, right? That means before they were plunderers and raiders, they had been traders. That's why it has been important that the Viking. Okay, so not to and not to change. Like there's no contention about the beginning date of the Viking Age. Okay, in the passage, so you can eliminate this with a capital E. Next, the Viking raids started as early as 725. No, that's factually incorrect. The author doesn't say that. The Viking raids did not start. The artifacts date back. Some of the artifacts date back to 725. The Viking raids, the author has mentioned, traditionally it's believed that they started at 793. So factually incorrect. Again, eliminated with the capital E. Next would be some of the antler artifacts found in Denmark and Great Britain could have come from Scandinavia. The author has talked about Scandinavia and how the combs could have been a popular industry in Scandinavia. But from that, we cannot make the leap that some of the antler artifacts found in Denmark and Great Britain could have come from Scandinavia. Or maybe they could have, maybe, but that will still be an assumption on our part if we go that far. Just because it might have been, that's just because the combs would have been a popular industry in Scandinavia. That means we can make the assumption that yes, some of them could have come from there. Okay, at least uh, like like I'm not saying it will be a very far-fetched assumption, but it will be an assumption, that's for sure. Okay, with some leap here. Okay, so least that we can do is we'll at least have to mark this as a O or a small e. Okay, weak elimination. So if the last option happens to be a case of capital strong elimination, then we might consider C. Otherwise, it does not really make sense to make that kind of an assumption. Option D, the Vikings trade relations with Europe predates the Viking raids. Yes, yes, that's correct. That's the reason why this discussion, the author has had this discussion, that the Viking trade relations predate the Viking raids, and that's why he has mentioned Viking, when did the Viking age began on a timeline, and then also he has mentioned when the dates of the artifacts on a timeline, so that they can be compared and he can prove his point. So this is a case of capital S. You can mark this with the capital S and correct answer. Also, guys, the problem with option C was one more. See, first of all, it's an assumption that we are making here. Not very far-fetched, but still an assumption. Secondly, it does not really relate to this part, to the question step. Most of the artifacts also date back to this and some of this. So even if you allow for that kind of the small leap in assumption and maybe just cut the option some slack, still it won't be able to. It doesn't make sense with the stem of the question, right? That would definitely not be the reason why this evidence was mentioned, right? So in fact, if you consider that, This can also be considered a case of strong elimination, right? Very easily. Like we won't have to be bothered then if we look at that aspect as well. Okay. So yeah. Coming to question number 3. All of the following hold true for Vikings except. Okay. So again, the triple TF scenario. 3 of these statements will be true with respect to the Vikings, and one of them will be false. The one that is false will be your answer. Option A, Vikings brought reindeer from Norway to Denmark for trade purposes. Guys, the passage has mentioned that Norsemen, the Vikings, they supplied raw material to craftsmen, but the raw material, the passage doesn't say that they brought the reindeer itself. Okay, cool, let's go and we're gonna take out your antlers there, and then like we'll make comms and jokes apart, like that is like the author hasn't really said that they brought the reindeer itself. He just said that they provided raw materials. He just, and from which we cannot assume that the whole reindeer was taken there, right? So this is false, and hence stands a good chance to be our answer with a capital S. Okay, coming to the next one. Before becoming the raiders of northern Europe, Vikings had trade relations with the European nations. Before becoming the raiders of northern Europe, Vikings had trade relations with the European nations. Yes, that's correct. That in fact is the whole point that the author is trying to make here, right? That's the reason why he has written the whole passage and given all of this evidence. That's true, and hence can be eliminated with a capital E. Option C. Antler combs regarded by the Vikings as a symbol of good health were part of the Viking culture. Yes, that's mentioned here. Antler craftsmanship in the form of decorative combs was part of the Viking culture, and they were regarded as symbols of good health. So that's correct. That's true, and hence can be eliminated with the capital E. Next, Vikings once upon a time had trade relations with Denmark and Scandinavia. Now, as much as I agree that we might have some reservations with respect to Scandinavia, there being trade relations between the Vikings and Scandinavia, but uh, it is but the point of reference does say that beyond Norway, these combs would have been a popular industry in Scandinavia as well. And then it also says that where and then it is also possible that the antler combs represented a large trade network where Norsemen, that is the Vikings, they supplied raw material to craftsmen in Denmark and elsewhere. Now this elsewhere might just be a reference within the purview of elsewhere. We can consider that Scandinavia could have been one of those elsewhere countries, right? So yes, a slight assumption, slight leap here, not very drastic, but still not completely uncalled for, and definitely not as uncalled for as option A. So you can consider this to be true, or at least something that can be inferred, partly inferred. Denmark part is very clear. The Scandinavia part can be inferred, or uh, very tiny assumption can be considered as a very tiny assumption, and hence can be eliminated. Okay, so your answer will be option A here. Okay. Okay, guys, so coming to the vocabulary part. Now, the way we'll go about this is I have marked some of the words which I figured that some of you guys may have found challenging while reading the passage. And I've provided the primarily contextual meanings of the words on the right side. Well, I will not be taking you through each and every word or discussing them here because we're going to have separate vocab courses as in different playlists. And yeah, so the way you're supposed to get through this is like pause the video, go through the word in its context, and then check the meaning of the word, right? So that'll help you internalize the meaning of the word for future. Okay, so coming to the passage analysis part, we'll start with the first parameter, which is genre. So guys, again, for those of you who might have found it difficult to understand the passage in terms of terminology, or comprehend the passage in terms of the ideas discussed here, it will then definitely benefit you if you read some more content from this particular genre to which the passage belongs. Next, readability of the passage. The readability has been rated on a scale of 1 to 10, which is based on a variant of Flesch Kincaid scale. The scale is quite ubiquitously, used across all domains, all genres, and all domains of writing, and it's quite reliable. So yeah. So again, so if your accuracy was really less, and this passage happens to be if the readability happens to be quite high of this passage, then definitely makes a case that you might want to practice more with passages that are more difficult to comprehend. Okay. Next, passage length. Please think of the capacity length not just in terms of words, but rather in terms of number of words per question, right? So that again can have a bearing on what steps you might want to take to recalibrate your approach. In terms of, like, let's suppose if you found your accuracy to be quite less, if the passage was too long, then you might want to concentrate on longer passages. Ideal time for the passage, to read the passage, and ideal time to answer the questions, and total ideal time has been mentioned here. And finally, I've provided here you a couple of articles which belong to the same genre and are kind of on the related topic, so that you can get more exposure in this particular genre and in this genre basically. Okay, all right. Okay, guys. So with this, we have completed the second RC of your fourth genre, that is history. And for those of you who have not watched the earlier RCs, videos of the earlier RCs, or solved those RCs, you can go to the playlist of this video. The link to the playlist will be available at the end screen. And solve the RCs, watch the videos. Okay. Okay, and finally, we are done with the session. So now, those of you who might have not watched the passage explainer, the part one of this RC, you can do so by clicking here. It will lead you to the respective video, and you can also find the link of the video in the description. And those of you who would like to check out the intro, or maybe the whole playlist, you can click here. This will take you to the playlist. And do subscribe and share if you like the channel. Do put your feedback in the comment section if you liked it, or there's something that you would want to have added. And yes, that's about it, guys. Thanks. See you in the next one.